Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing season 28, and we are continuing to show where AI reveals the cracks. And one of the cracks we're talking about this time is we're going to continue into part two, and we're talking about Agile along with software development in general and just some of the ways this is going to go and what we should look for in the future. This is Developreneur Podcast, Building Better Developers. I'm Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting. We help you find clarity. We help you avoid expensive, costly mistakes you don't want to avoid technology-wise before they happen. As always, the best time to find those. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is AI. I'm just going to say I really enjoyed what I can do with AI. It's amazing how many times I've done stuff like, hey, this is a pretty cool idea. Throw it at it. Next thing you know, boom, it's working and we're off and running. But there's also a bad side. There's all these little cracks because I don't know how often I do that. And I'm like, this would be a great thing. And then I go, no, that's not exactly a great thing. That's actually not something I need. I need to rein it back. I need to focus. And definitely there is, I don't call it dashboard fatigue that you can do, because when you can put every number up there, eventually there's just too many lights, too many levers, too many switches and flashing things and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you need to get down to simplicity, clarity. What are the 2 or 3 things that I need that are really going to help me move the dial, as opposed to just showing off that, look, I can do it's pretty and it's a bunch of different flashy colors. Somebody that is not pretty nor a lot of flashy colors, but still my co-host. Michael, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we design and test software that fits your workflow so you can stop fighting your tools and start growing your business. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, we're continuing our talk today with Dave. David? Dave. I'll edit that.
Just one of them.
Yeah. We talk to so many people, I get confused sometimes.
Okay, reset right here.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we fix broken systems and replace the guesswork with tested, dependable solutions built around your business. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, it's been another beautiful week here, getting a lot of work done. Projects are moving forward. Bad thing, I have been so busy, I'm losing my mind. It's just too much going on right now. I'm ready for this 3-day weekend that we're having this weekend. I'm actually going to unplug for a couple of days and hopefully not look at a computer.
That is definitely a good thing. I'm going to do the same. I am going to enjoy my weekend here coming up. I would say well-earned. Other people may not, but I think there's enough. And honestly, AI tells me it's well-earned. That's the most important thing. It's like, you deserve a day off. Chip is really kind like that sometimes. More importantly, we're not done yet. We have an episode ahead of us, and this continues to be a really good one. This is one of those that we just, I think, scratch the surface. We just open up the door a little bit, and it's perfect fodder for your mind to sort of think through things. And how's this going to work? How am I, as a developer, product lead, things like that, how am I going to embrace AI, and how's this going to change what I do? How am I going to get ahead of the curve? As they say, skate to where the puck is going to be instead of hang out where I am right now. So without any further ado, let's get back into our conversation with Dave Borzillo. But then we get into, and this is an interesting one, because then do we end up flooding people with too much information again? Because you could do technically, I guess now, you could do a sprint every day. And even if you didn't, you could easily almost essentially skip the stand-up, run AI across all of the commits and all of the work that went through, including whatever agents did during the day. And at the end of the day, you've got boom, here's everything we did. And I do like that you can tie that out, I think, in a couple of places so that you can automate enough stuff. And a lot of the CI/CD is doing that so that you really can't commit without some sort of a comment. And then that means that you can actually have AI flagging it and saying, hey, you changed code. Why did you change this code? You can even have it do code reviews. You can do static code analysis. And it says, hey, this code does not tie back to any specific task that you said this address. Why are you doing it? So you can find that, and that that goes down another rabbit hole of figuring out like dark work and where heroes are actually jumping in and doing stuff and maybe, do a little more than people realize. But do you think that there's a way that we almost go back to the original Agile manifesto a little bit more and look at, instead of how we've gone down this, Kanban and Scrum and sprints and all these other things, instead we back it up a little bit. And as you said, really it goes back to talking to the customer, figure out what they want, figure out what they can consume, what can bake in, what really does bring value to them, and almost blow up how we've been doing Scrum. No offense to everybody that's spent time in it, but almost blowing it up from what we've done for the last 15, 20 years, and say, okay, now we're going to redo this thing so that we are back on regular releases, regular conversations with customers, deep conversations on the technical and team side, so that we do get the architecture right, we get the testing right, we get the documentation right, we get rid of all of the technical debt doesn't come in. And instead of rushing ahead, we actually step back and just do the things we were supposed to do in the first place. How do you see that as we move forward?
Yeah, this really goes back to extreme programming, XP, right, for short, where it's like you had this role called the on-site customer. Like, what was that all about? And this is the one Agile framework that I don't have a lot of experience in, but my understanding is the team was co-located at the actual customer. The user was there with the team. And the idea is, the team would write up a few sentences of what needed to be done. They would go do it. And then they turn around to the on-site customer and say, hey, come take a look at this, right? Are we on the right track? Right? I think we're going to go back to that model where, of course, you don't have to be co-located now with Zoom and all that stuff. But the idea is, don't wait until the end of the sprint. If you have a backlog item and it's complete, show the user, get feedback from them now. You don't have to wait until Friday, 2 p.m. when, I'm going to show you 30 backlog items. Like, I think it's going to be more about flow. It's going to be more about, we're definitely going to have the quality there. That's what the acceptance criteria is. That's what the definition of done is. And we haven't talked about the Scrum Master. I want to throw the Scrum Master in here too, because there's also a crisis going on where like, we don't need a Scrum Master right now. We're just going to ask AI and it's going to tell us like what to do. I don't think so. I still think we need that human. Now, maybe a Scrum Master can Scrum Master 2, maybe even 3 or 4 teams, because they can automate a lot of what a Scrum Master needs to do, but you still need that leader of the team in there to say, guys, we need to make sure the quality is in the product. We need to make sure we're improving as a team as well, right? So I think it's really going to be an interesting time. We're going to see a lot more of that. I think more innovation is going to come out of this, honestly, because these types of bottlenecks, if we talk to users, customers, stakeholders, and we're incorporating the feedback and we're turning them around in lightning fashion, I think we're going to see innovation accelerate.
I like Scrum Master is a really interesting one because it has been really the mantra for Scrum Master for quite a while has been velocity, improve velocity, improve velocity, improve velocity, get the team to work better, faster, tighter, smarter, all of that good stuff, brighter teeth, all the good stuff. But now I think that goes away a little bit because I think the time crunch, or at least that piece of it, the time thing, if you've got AI and you can turn stuff around this quickly, then maybe we can sort of put that to bed a little bit and say, you know what, the team's going to find a way to get it done in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever the sprint term is. And instead, we can actually work on some of the other pieces for a Scrum Master. Things like you said, it's a little bit more like almost like a coaching role. It's like, how do I get AI agents and human developers and the human users, and even now probably AI users, how do I coordinate them to make sure that we are serving the people that we need to serve, that we're getting the feedback we need to get, that all of the stuff that AI is doing is actually useful. So it's not just generating a bunch of reports that somebody should look at, but they really don't because they don't have enough time to do it. Those kinds of things. Do you see Agile, the Scrum Master in particular, maybe becoming, I don't know, I feel like more like the master as opposed to the Scrum. So almost like a 3-ring circus, circus master kind of thing to try to coordinate these.
Yeah. And I still think, there's a leadership role there too, because you're going to have people, you're going to have conflict. Right. So what's really going to unlock a team's potential is somebody that's going to say, hey, these, these folks aren't getting along, or I think there's tension here. Like, should we address that? Um, really one of the interesting Scrum patterns over the years has been the happiness factor, right? So at the end of your sprint, you ask 3 questions. How happy are you working in your team? How happy are you working on this product? And how happy are you working on at your company? You can vary it, but if on a scale of 1 to 5, if you start mapping that and you start seeing the happiness averages start to go down sprint by sprint, it's a leading indicator that you're going to have you're going to have problems with a team in a couple sprints. I've seen this happen. It's real.
Mhm.
So how do you solve that? That's not something you can just throw in the AI. Those are human dynamics that you're dealing with in the Zoom or in the room. So you've got to look at that. And then also, as a Scrum Master, you're going to have to coach the product owner. Now, you don't have to be the product manager, the product owner. You still need to be smart enough to kind of say, like, I don't think you're spending enough time with the user, the stakeholder. I see other opportunities here. Or can we craft the backlog a little bit differently so the team has an easier time digesting it? And also working with leadership. Hey, we've got these impediments, like we're running out of budget, or I think we still need 1 or 2 more humans, or we may need more tokens. Going back to the tokens thing, right? So, can you increase our budget? Because I think, and here's the data, right? So I still think there's an important leadership role. It's not going to be about setting up the daily scrums, or maybe we don't need daily scrums anymore for doing 1 day sprints, like you said earlier. But it's more than just being administrative work. You really got to have an eye on the team, and how do you communicate that to? I always say the product owner is like a CEO of the team, right? Like you're interfacing with the customers and the stakeholders. The Scrum Master is more like a COO, a Chief Operations Officer. Is the team delivering? Is it was good quality? Am I raising those impediments that I can't handle as soon as possible? Am I coordinating with other Scrum Masters when needed? Right? So there's still that important role for the two of them.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit, and I've seen this dynamic change over different roles and different companies. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now is, like you said, the project owner is like the CEO. He like kind of owns the project. Interestingly enough, though, I see some POs stepping in a little bit more. Yes, they deal with the business side, but some of them are now starting to get a little more interested in the technical side. What is it that we're doing? How is it that we're doing it? How are we making our deadlines? Which I find exciting, because that gives them a better insight into, are we really on track? Are we really going to get where we need to go, or are we giving unrealistic deadlines? One example being, we had something working, proof of concept on a local machine, had it working great. It should have been a lift and shift to development, but of course, local development, when you're doing with AWS, you can only do so much. You get to the next tier. Oh, of course, things aren't as easy, and you have to go through the time and step by step figure out the problem. Well, unfortunately, in their mind, they were like, oh, well, this should be like a 1 day thing, so we'll be in UAT in 3 days. So it was kind of propagated out to the other teams that, yeah, in 3 days we're going to be done. And it's like, no, I can't guarantee that. But I do see that value. I do see. It depends on your Scrum. So then step down to the Scrum Master. So depending upon your Scrum Master, some of them are literally just task managers. They're just, are you doing your work? What's your blocker? Who can I point you to unblock you? And then you have other Scrum Masters, like you said, that are working. Okay, where are we at? What's our what? What's our why? What's our deliverables? So where I'm leading with this is, depending upon where you're at in the project, where we are at with AI, how do you see starting up a new project, or like bringing in, like you have an existing project that, oh, we need this new feature. How do you see companies should start going about bringing in new people or setting up new teams to handle new tasks so that they get off the ground right, versus all this chaos that we're seeing now?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there could be a couple of ways I could see that happen. One of those would be, AI, I think, could do a lot of the the what's the word I'm looking for here? The detailed work in terms of capturing the knowledge of the team. So you have a new team member coming on board. I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if the team member would sit down in front of and start prompting, right? What do I need to know about this product? Who is this product for? What value, right? Any team member, not just if you're getting a new product owner spun up. Being able to query the backlog in different ways, right? Tell me where I have dependencies in the architecture on this backlog. Again, we talked about the metrics, right? AI could even say, hey, run a Monte Carlo simulation, right? So out of 1,000 runs, tell me what the probability is that with the backlog, the way it stands today, we can deliver by the end of the quarter. And for a product owner, being able to say, I have a situation with a difficult stakeholder. They want their feature to be top priority, but I don't see that there's value in that. How do I handle this difficult stakeholder? There's actually a simulation. Somebody built a custom GPT where it was called Fred the Obnoxious Stakeholder. Right. And where it's like, Fred wants his Excel integration to be at the top of the backlog for the next sprint, but that's not where the value is. How do you discuss with Fred? And I'm doing this simulation in ChatGPT, and my heart rate is going up because Fred was really being obnoxious. Right. And I'm like, this is just a simulation. Why am I like getting all anyway? To answer your question, right? Like this is going to be where I'm interested. If your listeners and viewers have any feedback, I'd like to know too, because I think this is going to be where we're going to see new opportunities for those of us in the Agile coaching community, because we're always thinking about, well, what's our role as an Agile coach too, right? And I think there's still a role there. We just have to be able to describe that value. That look, we're going to help your teams improve. We're going to help your teams deliver more value. We're going to help your teams innovate now with AI in the loop.
So I have one more question. I'll pass this back to you, Rob. So let's flip this now. So we've been talking about the project owners and the Scrum Masters. Let's now go over to the developers and testers. So I see this becoming a disruption as well, because now there's no reason a developer cannot test their code now. We can go beyond unit tests. You should be able to do full end-to-end testing on your code as you're working it. And I'm struggling with this because, and Rob knows this, and I've been doing test-driven development for over a decade and a half now. And I'm all about automation tests, integration tests as I'm building systems. And I don't see developers thinking that far ahead enough yet. Like I just started a project, and the first thing I did was write me a local development stack in Docker with integration testing for these pieces that my software needs to talk to. And I showed that to the team, and they're like, wow, that's great. But why did you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? It's one of those where I really think this whole STLC cycles are going to start merging. Yeah. And this whole shift left idea that some organizations have is going to become the norm. And AI is just going to accelerate that. How do you foresee that?
Yeah, we still need architecture, right? That's not going away. But an Agile architecture now powered with AI, how do we develop just enough architecture, and again, regression testing, I call it regression testing, right? How do I know that when I check in this code, it's not going to break 3 other things? That's what the CI/CD pipeline, kind of helped to address as well. So, could a developer use AI to kind of make sure that it's kind of hit all the corners of what they're trying to do? And, or also like in a Slack channel, they're kicking around that idea with an AI agent. The AI agent, you could tell the AI agent will then say, well, then you need to add tasks to your backlog item, or we need to create more backlog items. And it'll just go ahead and do it and flag, message the product owner to say, hey, we need to look at these in an upcoming backlog refinement session so we can talk about it. Because the backlog is always going to be evolving. And that's where it's not a set it and forget it type thing. You're going to learn things along the way. And I think as a developer, you're going to be the ones that are going to learn the most. because you're in the front lines there. How do we incorporate that learning? AI can do that. Like, hey, again, in your Slack channel, just say, hey, add this as a discussion point for our next post daily Scrum meeting or something like that, and get people to talk more. We go back to that thing where, like, how do we get people to talk more and share that knowledge and get a better product out of it?
I really love, I want to go back to, was it Fred the obnoxious stakeholder there is I wonder, do we flip the script with AI, particularly? Is that maybe the way we go? And instead of using it so much as a helper for our project, is we use it as sort of that obnoxious pushback pressure test. And even to the point, it's funny because this came to mind a few episodes back, is the idea of the War Games movie. The whole idea was that it would do a simulator and it would just simulate to try to find a win. And it's sort of like I think it's something we can do with AI. Is we can take our backlog and take our features and tell it to be, we can coach AI to be an obnoxious user. Why would they not like it? Where would they push back? Where is this going to break? What happens if we expand this to 1,000 users instead of just 10? Those kinds of things that if we've got the time, so if we can, if implementation goes to practically zero, I mean, we can go to sleep and have agents write the code overnight. Why don't we spend more time in the other facets of the software development lifecycle? Why don't we spend more time on design and requirements, and then testing? And deployment should be super fast now, but the user side of it, actually training and documentation.
Yeah, I tell a funny story in the book. This happened about 15, 20 years ago when I was working with a stakeholder and a user, and they were saying, they gave me a list of requirements. They said, we need all this stuff in the application. And I said, okay, well, we need to order this backlog. So we need to determine, like, what's the top priority item. I said, well, they're all top priorities. So is everything a high? Yeah, everything's a high. Okay. Well, then amongst the high, what's a high, what's a medium high, and what's a low high? Like, oh, okay, here. And I think those people skills that's where AI is really not going to be that helpful. But you just got to know that you have that experience, right, to deal in those situations with that. So
it's funny that made me think of, like, the funnel analogy.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so, well, everything's high. Well, okay, you have this funnel. You have a 1-lane road to an interstate. What do you want to get on the interstate first? It's like you have to order them, or you're going to be sitting in a gridlock.
If your printer only can handle 50 sheets of paper, you can't shove an entire package of paper into the printer and expect it to print faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does go back to the whole, you can't have 9 women can't give birth to a baby in a month. I mean, it's the same kind of thing.
Not the mythical man months, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it really is I think it's really fascinating to me, is that it seems like we are seeing not just theoretical, but realistic limits to what we can do, what we can produce. The fact that we can almost take the guardrails and the training wheels off of development and now say, okay, your backlog can be done immediately, basically, or we can get it done in 2 days instead of 12 months. Now, what do you do? I think it's interesting, as I think this is going to show us that there are things that we did at human speed that still need to be done at human speed. I think there's still going to be that level of, it's like you're doing it too fast.
Yeah, that's the limiting factor. And if you want interesting insights on LinkedIn, you can follow Dr. Jeff Sutherland, who co-created Scrum. He has these 7 AI agents, one named for every day of the week. And they're doing their own scrums, and they post on LinkedIn when they do their retrospective. And so you kind of say, this is Saturday bot, and I'm telling you what happened this week for the team. And, Tuesday bot dropped the ball and forgot to do some sort of quality check. And so we're going to make sure that we have that in our definition of done. So hang on, folks. I think this is going to get really interesting. Who knows a year from now where we're going to end up with AI agents.
Yeah, it's moving very fast, just like this episode has. We have flown through the hour, so I want to make sure that we Before we let you go, we at the very least make sure we get like links and say what is the best way to get a hold of you if people want to have a further conversation, and definitely the best way to get a hold of your book.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, so my handle, whatever you want to call it, is Better Ways of Working. So you could go to betterwaysofworking.com. And then that's where you'll find out, get the Amazon link to my latest book, Sanity at Scale. It's launching the 26th. And if you're a Kindle reader, it's going to be free for the entire weekend, because I really want to get the book out there for free. And would appreciate a review on Amazon if you do grab it that opening weekend. I also have 2 other books, Who Killed Agile, which I co-wrote with Louise Quintilla, and my first book, which is United Agility, that goes more into the nuts and bolts of Agile and how to connect with leadership. I also have a podcast, Better Ways of Working, which you can get to from the website, and as well as a Substack. So it's all there on betterwaysofworking.com. But definitely want to encourage you to take advantage of the free Kindle download weekend, 26th, 27th, and 28th.
Excellent. And I think that will wrap this one up for those of you listening. Thank you so much for hanging out. As always, check out links in the show notes and good things like that so you can follow all of this. And go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. And so that takes us to the bonus section here out in the YouTube world, where everybody has been having to stare at our ugly mugs for the last hour or so, last couple episodes. What would be a great bonus? Would be either a challenge that you have for people that maybe to get them to think a little more clearly, or maybe some gem that's out of the book that we didn't get around to that you'd like to share.
Maybe a good bonus would be having folks think about subtraction, not addition. How do you remove things from a backlog? And how do you improve a process by cutting? Well, this goes in the Elon Musk thing, right? He wants to subtract stuff. But I think that's a good challenge.
Wow, that is short, sweet, and gosh, that is probably one of the best ones, because I think too often, especially with AI, I think that's what we're seeing is too many people are saying, okay, I can build everything I want. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, you didn't really need all of that. It's the same thing that we've run into for decades now. It's why the iPhone, the iPod originally was so, fantastic. It was because somebody said, Steve Jobs said, instead of don't give me 1,000 different buttons and all this, I want something very simple, does its task, and that's it. And maybe this is our opportunity for everybody to be a Steve Jobs, maybe, and get that one thing done or that 1 or 2 things done, and keep it very concise. So, that being said, we'll just keep this one nice and concise and short as well. We'll wrap this one up. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out there and spending some time with us. Definitely catch both episodes here. Check out Dave and the podcast, the book, Better Ways of Working, because we can all use a little bit of better ways of working as we become better developers. So have a great one, everybody, and we will talk to you next time.
Hey, Dave, real quick. I just sent link connect message on LinkedIn. Could you send me that detail for the Kindle? Because I don't know if this podcast will be out before then, and I want to make sure I at least get some communication going on our channels for that.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll respond to it right away. Thank you, Michael. And thanks to the both of you. Fantastic opportunity. I had fun today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks. It was great.
We might have to get you back on again, because I'd kind of like to take this in a slightly different, the same kind of thing, but more from a QA team building perspective, because you gave me a whole lot of ideas around that, and I think that's a different conversation for another day, though. But
so my next project now is to go back to the second book, Who Killed Agile, with my co-author. He's the one that's really been doing a lot of work. He's building his own LLM to split stories. He's also, I think he's probably doing stuff with QA as well. We should get him on, and when we have the second edition updated, and share a lot of that stuff too.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it may be perfect opportunity to get both of you guys on at the same time and have a little roundtable discussion as well, because I think that's I think that's really it's just like timing wise, that's going to be great. So I think we may have you back on in a month or two here and do that again, because there's it's a target rich environment, as I said, as far as topics.
And
that
it's
we can
changing
cover.
so fast. I can't believe that with agents now. Who knows a year from now, right? Like,
I'm thinking 3 months. It's like we went from a year. No, seriously, we went from like a year to 9 months to 6 months. It's like supposedly Anthropic's putting out some AI model that can now hack systems. So it's like, seriously, how much more powerful are these going to be in 3 months?
Well, I used Fable when it came out, and I was able to get so much out of it, and then they all of a sudden shut it off, and I'm like, what? I'm like hooked on it now. It's terrible. I guess they're marketing. Maybe it was a marketing ploy to say like, oh yeah, this stuff is, will happen, and then the government's like, no, you're not. So, but no, thank you, both of you, for the opportunity. And Michael, I'll get you that information.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so it'll probably be about 2 weeks that we'll get out, but we'll get something out on the Developreneur site and stuff like that.
What I can do is I can also do a special. I have 5 days with the Kindle program, so I can save a couple days for when the podcast episode comes out.
That may be good
or
too.
You could do it just with the 5. I could, like I said, I can blast out on our site and send some clips and things. So I just need it with enough time for me to do my stuff, because I do the back end stuff for us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, awesome. We'll definitely do that, and I want to make sure I get it out to all my people out on LinkedIn and stuff like that as well, so we can spread the word far and wide and see what we can do with that. So
awesome.
But timing wise, I might also be able to flip some of our episodes around. I'll look at the calendar and see what I can do.
Yeah, just message me. I'm happy to help however I can. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thanks, Dave.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks for getting up early, and enjoy your weekend. And I'm sure we will talk to you again soon. If nothing else, thanks. I did the AI Revolution thing. I've already signed up to try to do another one. So hopefully we'll cross
hopefully you can make it in Miami when we do the conference in the spring again. Sorry I missed it. I was trying to wrap up before going on vacation, but I heard it went really well. So congrats.
It did. It was a good time. It was fun. I really enjoyed working with them. So that's a great group. So I'm going to see whatever I can do to help, continue to help feed that community for sure. So, all right. Have a good one. Go enjoy your day.
Bye. Thank you.